Around the 10th century, they discovered that controlled reheating of steel and rapid cooling in water makes it even stronger. This new tempered steel meant longer and sharper blades.
So, who was the genius who figured all this out, you say? No one really knows. Tempering techniques sort of just popped up over the centuries.
Separated by thousands of miles, two legendary swords were born of this new technology around the same time. The European longsword and the Japanese samurai sword, or katana. 15th century, Japanese katana. Warrior, the samurai. Blade, 36 inches. The Japanese katana is a two-handed weapon with a single-edged blade and a stabbing point. Its signature curved blade allowed the samurai to draw the katana and cut in a single move. And martial arts expert Bob Goodwin is here to tell me how the samurai used this blade in combat.
What we have is a cutting weapon. One cut, one kill. Because it's not about standing there bashing swords together. It's about developing the footwork to where you can come around to an angle and avoid something coming in while cutting at the same time.
Back in the day, they used to test the blade on the corpses of convicts. But I figured that wouldn't go down too well today. Now, hacking at cabbages and coconut is kind of fun.
That was a pure slice.
But how about something with a bit more substance, like a solid block of ice? My, just like splitting logs with an axe. While the Japanese were perfecting their single-edged weapon, in Europe they had their own two-edged approach. 15th century, longsword. Warrior, the European knight. Blade, 40 to 50 inches long. Longswords have cruciform hilts, providing room for two hands. They often weighed as much as 4.5 pounds, with a straight double-edged blade nearly 4 feet long.
The really fine weapons of that era were balanced to where you could use it one-handed, because again, you may have a shield in the other hand or another weapon.
Every part of the longsword was used for combat. The pommel for pommeling, the broad blade for cutting. And as armor improved, the blades became narrower and pointier for thrusting.
Or you can use it both hands if you really want to cleave through something.
You really want to take a swing and really whack them, yeah. And it's nice and long. I like that. You don't have to get too close.
Long swords were especially good for thrusting at an armored knight's vulnerable points. But these double edges created plenty of slashing mayhem as well.
Properly sliced and diced. Okay, we know what we're going to have for lunch. There's some juice left in there. All we need is some ice.
Okay, the katana sliced through the ice pretty nice. Now the longsword. Slashing the ice with the longsword is like hitting a brick. Heck, I only managed to shave it a little.
Totally different animal, that one.
The katana definitely has the edge as an icebreaker. But nobody goes to war against ice cubes. What about the kind of leather armor worn by your average foot soldier? We saw how leather armor stood up to Roman Gladius and Iron Sword. Well now, it's time for the heavyweight division. Longsword against Katana.
We broke some serious ribs in there, buddy. Okay.
Well, let's try the Katana. Let's see what it does.
With its diagonal slash called the dogari, the Katana outclasses the Longsword in the leather armor round.
Well, there's no question about it. He just lost his arm, his heart, some of his intestines left. But that did take a big, nice hack out of that one.
Two different weapons from the far-flung corners of the world. Both prized by the elite warriors of their culture. Both were the cutting edge of their respective armies in bloody battle. And both faced opponents in metal armor. So, which is the better can opener?
Not a real classy can opener. It did do some damage.
It did what it's supposed to do.
The Longsword packed a punch and made a small hole. But, other than that, not much impact on the armor.
Let's get around the other side and try the samurai sword.
Yes, sir.
We got a lot more penetration.
Yes, sir, we did.
And we want a good half-inch in. Okay.
Yes, sir,
so
we did.
there we have it. This samurai sword beats out the longsword again.
Side by side, you can see the shorter steel blade of the Katana doesn't flex as much as the Longsword and penetrates deeper through the armor. And as a slashing weapon, the Katana is a work of art. In my book, the Katana beats the Longsword.